Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our St. Peter the Apostle virtual open house. My name is Terry Lynn Guimo, and I'm the very, very proud principal of St. Peter the Apostle. Most of you, I'm thinking, are tuning in. You are our grade 9 students, but we do have some families who might be from our feeder school in Devon. So welcome to you guys, and maybe any other families who are interested in learning a little bit more about what St. Peter the Apostle has to offer. Normally, we would have you all here at the school, and we would probably be in the library, and Mrs. Johnson would be telling you about all the awesome things that our school has to offer. But of course, due to COVID-19 restrictions, we are offering this to you virtually, and that's okay because it's still going to be awesome. So just a few things before we get going. I just wanted to remind everyone that I have sent out some information to all of our families, which can also be found on the website. The big thing you are going to want to make sure you check out is our Google site. All the teachers in core and non-core areas have created videos for you to take a look at. Also for our families from Devon who are in grade 9 who might be joining us next year for grade 10, you can have a school tour because of course we can't be having that this year. We are going to be taking some questions, and each of you will be able to access that through the chat bar after our slideshow. So Mrs. Plaisure is going to give you a little heads up that you can start thinking and putting your questions in the chat bar because those will be moderated by Mr. McKennett for us tonight. When you go to the Google site that has visits to all of the classroom, you will also notice on there that there's a scavenger hunt. So you click on that link and you complete the scavenger hunt and you can enter your name for some SPA swag. So be sure to do that when you check it out. So to get us started tonight, I would like to acknowledge that where we are today is on the traditional lands, meeting grounds, and traveling routes of the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Dene, and Nakota Sioux Nation. This land is known as Treaty 6 territory and is also home to the Métis Nation. We acknowledge the many footsteps that have marked these lands for centuries. All right, as we do every Monday morning, we are going to start with our St. Peter the Apostle prayer. So please join me in the sign of our faith. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord Jesus Christ, by the intercession of St. Peter the Apostle, grant us faith when the storm comes, contrite hearts when we stumble, and courage in the face of danger. You are the rock on whom we build. Our faith and hope rest in you. St. Peter the Apostle, pray for us. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, throughout the slideshow that you are going to see today, you are going to see a little QR code. And that QR code on your screen is the one that you will use to access the Google site that I mentioned earlier. So you can just take a picture of that on your phone and it should take you directly to that Google site. I would like to introduce all of the awesome people we have on our panel tonight. This is Mrs. Plaisure. She is one of our school counselors, and she, along with Mrs. Johnson, are going to be running through our slideshow that we have for you tonight. They're going to be speaking to all things awesome about St. Peter the Apostle, introducing you to some other members of our staff, and telling you more about what life at high school will look like. I hope you're not getting too terribly dizzy from the panning back and forth. All right, Mr. Baldoon, you want to hit us with the next slide? And we are gonna get started. Oh, this is still me. Never mind. All right, I thought it was Mrs. Plaisure, but it's not. All right, I have to tell you, we have the most incredible student services team on the planet at St. Peter the Apostle, and these two ladies are a big, big part of it. For those of you who may already know, Mrs. Shannon is our inclusive ed coordinator. She takes, she's in charge of all things with specialized programming, IPPs. If your child requires some accommodations, she is our gal and she is amazing. Along with her, we have Mrs. Owen, Chantel Owen. She's our school and family liaison worker, and she works with helping connect families to supports that they might need within the community. She is an invaluable resource for us, and we are grateful for the work that these two ladies do.
Hi everyone, my name is Mrs. Plaisir and I am part of this wonderful student services team as well, along with Mr. Colin Ash and Miss Julie DeRose. So here at St. Peter, there are 3 counselors. We each are assigned a grade that we follow through, usually from grade 9 right through grade 12. I'm currently working as a grade 12 counselor. Mr. Ash is working with the 10s and 11s for the most part, and Mrs. DeRose is primarily working with the grade 9s. I also work with our ELL students who are new to Canada or learning English as their second language, as well as our knowledge and employability students as well, to make sure that everybody gets the programming they need to be successful here. All 3 of us have masters in counseling, which means we are able to meet with students regarding personal counseling, addressing some concerns like anxiety often that can pop up at the school, along with conflicts they might be having or academic struggles, mental health difficulties, and family issues. When necessary, we are able to recognize when those services are above what we can address at a school level, and we're able to connect our students and families with community resources to further aid in these areas of need. We meet regularly with our students in classes and individually to discuss course selection, programming over their full 4 years here at St. Peter's, or 3 years. And we support their academic programming, ensure they have what they need to enter post-secondary of their choice, and opportunities to meet with post-secondary institutions, as well as industry representatives to support their career choices after they're done with us here at St. Peter's. So these are the 4 areas that we're going to focus on today. We're going to talk about some graduation requirements. Really important that when you're entering grade 10 that we have a clear path for you. We don't always follow it right the way through, but we want to have it in mind so that we make sure that every student gets what they need by the time they're done with us here at St. Peter's. We're going to talk a little bit about post-secondary options just to keep in mind, along with awards and scholarships, and how we can look at that grade 10 course selection. So the Alberta government puts forth what is required to receive a diploma here in this province. So every student is required to complete a 30 level English in order to receive a diploma here, as well as a 30 level social. Each student is also required to complete a 20 level math, as well as a 20 level science, and it can be any science. So we have a list there of bio, chem, physics, science, as well as science 24. Students must complete physical education 10, as well as COM, which is a career and life management course. On top of that, students are required to complete 10 credits in a career technology studies, a fine art, a second language, or they can use 10 credits in phys ed 20 or 30, as well as RAP program credits, and that's a registered apprenticeship program. Important to note that most of the students here at St. Peter's will complete this requirement in grade 10. It's why we plan the courses with no spares in grade 10. Students must also gain credit at a 33, 35, or 3,000 level that are not English and social, and they require 10 credits at that level. For our students, the majority of them will receive 5 credits in Religion 35, along with another 30 level. So for many of these might be math, it might be a science, or it could be a drama or a second language. Lots of different options. Okay, so our Knowledge and Employability Program Certificate of Achievement is a bit different. So students who are going to achieve a K&E certificate are looking at completing English 30-4, they need to complete Social 20-4, Science 14 or 20-4, Math 10-3 or 20-4, Comm, Phys Ed. We also look at gaining them some work experience to help them transition into work life, as well as additional 5 credits in a CTS course. For many of our knowledge and employability students, they will be completed this certificate program by the beginning of grade 12, and we often look at transitioning them through to a high school diploma if that is what they so desire. For post-secondary here in Alberta, we are extremely lucky. We have lots of different fantastic options. Many of our students come thinking that if they're not able to get into the University of Alberta, that is not going to be a successful choice for them. However, what we've learned more and more is that different options like Grant MacEwan, like Concordia, are offering diverse and specialized programmings that are better fits for our students than the University of Alberta, although that is always also a fantastic option. We do get students exposure to different post-secondaries, colleges, as well as NATE will often come in with representatives to discuss a variety of different programs. Unfortunately, due to COVID this year, we have not been able to have them in, but generally they will run a fair with the students so they can have access to a plethora of different offerings from these institutions. We also work with trades to help support the registered apprenticeship program. So these are for students who are very clear at what trade they would like to enter, and they can begin working in that trade and getting hours towards their Blue Book journeyman starting in grade 11, and we create a timetable that matches accordingly, and we work with the industry representatives who are willing to sponsor our students so that we can get them that experience before they graduate. Okay, so for our high school timetable, we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about quarter versus semester system in a moment, but really important to note that our grade 10s are not allowed any spares. For lots of reasons, this has worked out in our favor. We do work really hard to get our students access to those CTS courses, those language courses, those fine art courses, exposure in grade 10 so that they can carry that through right to grade 12. And we make sure that many of those diploma requirements are completed in grade 10 so they can focus on their academic pursuits, more specific academic pursuits in grade 11 and 12. By grade 11, they are allowed 2 spares. These often allows our students a little bit extra time to work on those higher academic courses where they might need some additional time to be working on homework and meeting with teachers and that sort of thing. And by grade 12, at that point, dependent on their programming, they are allowed up to 5 spares based on their needs and their post-secondary requirements. Okay, what will my timetable look like? This is the million-dollar question for sure. So what you're currently looking at is the quarter system timetable. So this is the system we are running with this year and possibly next year. So what this means is that each class is 2 hours and 40 minutes roughly. Each quarter is roughly 40 days. And you're looking at 2 to 3 courses depending on what you're programmed for and what options you're in. So for the majority of our grade 10s, we tried to make it so they had a core, so math, science, social, and English per quarter, and that was matched with 1 or 2 of their options. So some of our options are 5 credits, so our language and some of our higher level fine arts, but most of our options would be 3 credits, so they'd be every second day. So as you can see on that timetable, math would be all morning from 8:30 till 11:30, with religion on one day, day 1, day 2 programming, so religion on one day and phys ed on the second. This for this year, this has really allowed our students to focus on one core, which they said has been good for them. But we also know that in the event where they have been asked to quarantine, then they are only focusing on learning online for one core and options, which also made it a lot more manageable for our students under these conditions. Okay, a typical timetable for us would look semesterized. So this means that we have 2 semesters instead of 4 quarters. We look at 80-minute classes. Each semester would run roughly 5 months. So we have a September to February for semester 1, February to June for semester 2. We try again to break up core classes to lighten loads and expectations on students. So you would be looking at 2 core per semester mixed in with multiple different options that your child has chosen.
Okay, the next thing that we're going to start talking about is the core course streams. So once we hit grade 10 level in English, social, science, and math, students aren't kept as one collective group. The stream that they're enrolled on is dependent on their performance in grade 9. So their grade 9 marks are extremely important to us. Our best predictor of future success is how they've done in the past. So sometimes people might think, what's the best stream? From our perspective, the best stream is the stream where the child will experience success at school. So looking at this first slide with the English program map, you'll see at the top there's the -1 stream of course, followed by the -2 stream of course, and then on the bottom we have the -4 stream. This -4 stream is alternate programming that we have available for our students who are enrolled in knowledge and employability that Mrs. Plaisir mentioned a few minutes ago. If we're looking at the -2 stream, this is a general stream of English that is required. Students have to complete a grade level English to get their diploma or their certificate of achievement for their knowledge and employability program. So this English 30-2 is good for most college programs, most programs at technical institutes or polytechnics like NATE and SATE. Then we have the -1 stream that's required for university admission. All university programs require a -1. Now, when we're looking at these grade 9 marks, Alberta Education recommends that a student have 65% or higher in LA9 to enroll in English 10-1, 65. So we understand that students who are functioning at 65% or higher have the work habits, have the skills required to meet the challenges of English 10-1 with success. If a student has less than 65, they're recommended to go to 10-2. That's the provincial recommendation. And it's what we recommend also. However, internally, as a high school, we have a little bit of wiggle room there. But for any students who have a mark below 60% in LA9, they will be enrolled in English 10-2. One of the beauties of our Alberta system, one of the biggest benefits, is that the kids are never stuck in a particular path. So should a student get their mark, say, of 52 in LA9, they'll be enrolled in English 10-2. If in English 10-2 they experience tremendous growth and success, they finish the course with 83-84% and want them to bump up to English 10-1, we of course would encourage them and work with them on their timetable to make a plan for that to happen. Similarly, if a student were to enroll in English 10-1, maybe they had the 64, they were on the bubble. So we had the chat with them, look, 64, you know, you're gonna have to step up your game, right? Because the pace in a -1 course is faster. The volume of work that you're going to have to complete is more than was expected of you in LA9. What if they run into some difficulty and that English 10-1 was very, very challenging for them? They struggled with it. Then we're going to meet with them and we might consider a plan to move to 20-2 for grade 11. So there's no best program, worst program. The best program is what fits for each individual student. And we have all the time in the world to meet with parents, to meet with kids, to come up with a good plan for each of our students. So the next course map that we're going to look at is for math. So math is a little bit different. A few years back with the new curriculum, the province made the decision to try and keep kids together for the most part for grade 10 math. So that we have this course Math 10 Common. The goal is to keep most of the kids together, and then it branches off into Math 20-1 and 20-2 in grade 11. 2 steps down there, you'll see that we have a course Math 10-3. Math 10-3 is a bit of an escape route for kids who might be struggling in math. This 10-3, 20-3, 30-3 math stream, viable math stream that qualifies for admission to many colleges, our college programs and technical institutions, and a Math 30-3 also qualifies students for every trade in the province. All of the approved trades are have the requirement of this 30-3. Now, we do have some students who are on the bubble a bit. Similar to English, the province recommends that students have a 65% from Math 9 to go into Math 10 Common, 65%. Internally as a school, we have a little bit of wiggle room, but any student with a grade below 60 will be enrolled elsewhere. So if you have below 60% in Math 9, you will be enrolled in either Math 10-3, and continue on with the -3 stream, or for some students who might be on the bubble, maybe they're in that 45 to 59 window. And their math teacher really believes that with a little extra time and focus on some essential skills, they could participate in Math 10 Common, then they are recommended to go into Math 15-5. So Math 15-5 provides students a review of Essential Math 9 concepts and a preview of Essential Math 10 Common concepts, and really lets them hit the ground running when they get to Math 10 Common. To go to Math 10 Common, you'd need a 60% or better for Math 15-5. If the grade is lower than 60%, then we recommend that students continue the math stream in a 20-3 course. Now, I mentioned before in English, students have to complete a grade 12 level English 30 for the diploma. The minimum requirement for math in a diploma, for a diploma requirement is a grade 11 math, the minimum requirement. And I just want to take a minute to talk about this 20-1, 20-2. For many parents who might be listening, you may have gone to school in another province or in Alberta and had a math 30 or 33. Some of maybe even pure and applied. So 20-1 and 20-2, people want to correlate with 30 and 33, but this is not the case for the math curriculum. Both -1 math and -2 math are admissible for university study. So the Math -1 stream is really geared for students who are headed into a field of study that requires calculus. So examples of that would be engineering requires Math 30-1. Most Bachelor of Science programs, not all, but most require Math 30-1. Business at some institutions require Math 30-1, others okay with 30-2. So there's very specific programs where it's required, but the vast majority of university programming accepts Math 30-2. And again, what's the best choice for the student? Well, the choice where they'll meet with most success. We have a lot of students at our school that are interested in pursuing programming in something like nursing, for example. Extremely competitive to get into nursing right now. So for a lot of students, it's to their advantage to have a higher mark in Math 30-2 in their university application than to have a lower mark in 30-1. And again, our counselors are here to meet with students and families just to make that plan at every step of the way to figure out and map the best programming for your child. And then I didn't mention yet the 10-4 and 20-4. Again, this is the stream of math where some of our knowledge and employability students are working. Some will transition to a diploma stream, others might finish their K&E math. Okay. The next course stream map that we have is for science. So science, again, a little bit different. We have the option of Science 10 in grade 10 or Science 14. Here, the province still recommends a mark of 65 to go into Science 10. We have more wiggle room here. Generally, students with 55 or better out of Science 9, we encourage to go into Science 10. Lower than that, we're looking at a Science 14 option. Science 14 and 24 is really hands-on programming that's set up to get students ready for the world of work. Science 10, generally students take a little bit of biology, a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of physics, which gives them the information they need to choose their specific science courses through grade 11 and 12. And then we also have Science 10-4, 20-4. Most of our knowledge and employability students do manage just fine in our diploma level 14-24 science, but we do have the alternative there should that be required on an individual basis. As far as diploma requirements go, the minimum requirement for each student is to have one grade 11 science course. Obviously, for post-secondary, many students will need to take more than that, but the minimum requirement is one grade 11 science. Finally, we have social studies. This works very similarly to English. We have, actually, it's exactly the same as English, exactly the same. Same with the 65% recommendation from the province. We have a little wiggle room internally, but we'll look at programming students who are in, or 59 and below, in the -2 stream. Sometimes if students are in the -2 stream, they think, oh, I'm not sure, it's a little tough for them, but they might want to get to a 30-1. Again, the flexibility of our Alberta program is great. So a lot of students, we will encourage, if it's a bit of a struggle for them, to be in that -2 stream. Maybe you're doing in grade 12 when you realize, oh my gosh, I need to take this English or social studies 30-1 to get into university. We would encourage the student to be in that 30-2, get as high of a mark as they can, get themselves graduated. Then if they were to choose to upgrade, they're ready to hit the ground running. Social 30-2 probably covers 60 to 70% of the 30-1 curriculum. So they go in with a big leg up on the challenge ahead. And then that gives them the time to focus on the extra content material and more rigorous and types of writing that will be expected of them in that 30-1 curriculum. The same would be true of English. So some of the kids are chugging along in the -1 stream, that's fantastic. But sometimes, you know, with every student is an individual, so we want to make sure that we're working with each student to make a plan that's a best fit for them. Okay. When we're looking at grade 10 course selection, counselors have already gone into classrooms and met with our current grade 9 students, gone through much of the all of the information that we've shared here today, plus a little bit more. So students are going to be looking at choosing English, social, science, math courses. Also in grade 10, every student must take Phys Ed 10. That's a requirement for their diploma. After grade 10, Phys Ed becomes an elective course. COM, the Career and Life Management, is like a health course that you have to take in high school, again, required for your diploma. And we also have Religion 15 there. Students have to take a religion course every year that they're enrolled in our school. So that not required for a diploma, but it's a required for every student here in our school. And looking at the list, I realized that I forgot to mention one course, and that would be English 10-1 Honors. We have one stream of honors courses in English, and this leads to a culmination point where students can take English 30-1 advanced placement. So what happens for an English student? If they are really eager in English, they are avid readers, they really enjoy writing, and they like working hard in their language arts. They just love it. They are ready to put in a little extra time and ready to go the extra mile. They might want to consider taking an English 10-1 honors course. So in here, the instruction is a little bit different. The types of work, a little bit different. They might tackle different literature, maybe a little more challenging literature, and then they're able to come at projects in a different way. The students will have a lot more agency in their own learning in an honors type course. Generally, we have a requirement that students have 70% or higher in Language Arts 9 to be able to take 10-1 honors. Kids need to know, is it a little more work? Yep. But the kids who are in this class love doing the work. They're in there with other kids who are into it, and they get some really exciting things going on in the classroom with their learning. So similar programming continues through to grade 11 with English 20-1. And then finally, for students that choose in grade 12, we have an English 30-1 advanced placement course. In this course, students fulfill all of the requirements they need for their English 30-1, plus they do extra learning, working with extra materials, and have the opportunity to write an advanced placement exam. And then that exam is an international exam that's scored out of 5. Students who score a 4 or a 5 on the AP exam have a possibility to earn advanced credit at university. So I know on our website, one of the slides is about the AP English programming. So if you're interested in this, please check out that video and feel free to follow up with any questions you might have. After that, we have our elective courses. So students in grade 10, as Mrs. Plaisir mentioned, get a lot of the work on their elective courses done. Kids can't have spares, so we need to fill their timetables with these elective courses. Now in the column on the left, you'll see behind each course sequence, there's a number in brackets. This corresponds with the number of credits that the course is worth. So a course like Dance 15 or Art 10 will be worth 3 credits. That means that students will take that course every second day for whatever term of period we're studying, whether it's in a quarter system or a semester system. If in brackets, a course is designated with a 5, like French, says the French teacher with the shameless plug, take French, for 5, that means that the students will take that course every day through the term of study, whether that be a quarter or a semester. So that makes it a little bit tricky for us. We can't necessarily tell students, well, I think we do in grade 10, tell them how many to pick. How many they get is very dependent on which options they choose. A couple of things as I'm scanning down here. Just looking, you'll notice we have drama for 3 credits. That is a drama class, much like you would have had in junior high, in grades 7 and 9, a drama class. In class for fun, doing lots of activities, lots of games. Then we also have drama performing for 5 credits. This is a little bit different. These are students who are really keen on learning drama, and there is an aspect of performance outside of their class. So pre-COVID times, these students would have done different performances, sometimes in the community, sometimes for, for Halloween, for Remembrance Day, for different occasions at the school and out in the community. We have a little thing about their registered apprenticeship program and work experience. Generally, that's more for students in grades 11 and 12, but certainly there are grade 10 students who get involved in that as well. Then in the column on the right, this is a special category of courses called Career and Technology Studies, and you'll know that there are no brackets with credit numbers beside them. That's because these courses are designed differently. Rather than being a full course worth 3 credits, students work on bundles called modules. And sometimes a student, generally in a 3 credit time slot, most kids will earn 3 credits. But if a student is very productive, working quickly, they could earn 4 credits, they could earn 5 credits, because as they move on in these courses, there is an aspect of independent study. Kids have different strengths and competencies when they come into the program, but their mark, for example, if you were in a food studies class, rather than having a mark in food studies 10 or food studies 1, you might have a mark in food basics, a mark in baking basics, a mark for cooking meat or some such thing. So the marks are broken down in these separate modules. But for our purposes, generally, we consider them a 3 credit course for the spot it takes up on their timetable.
Okay, so for next steps, we really encourage you again to go to the website, the open house website, and review the course offerings that we have at SPA. Our teachers and programs have done a really awesome job of creating some videos for you guys to watch with our students working in these areas of study. The next part of this for you and for parents and students is to plan your program. So it's really important that we take some time to look at what we are going to require for you for the next 3 years. So we really encourage you to phone us here at the school and talk to myself or Mr. Ash or Mrs. DeRose so that we can support you in planning this program if you do have any questions. When you're making your course selection, Mrs. Johnson gave you lots of wonderful information, and she talked to you about those fine arts, those languages, some of those options. So really important when you are choosing your course selections and you know both your core and your option courses, that you're choosing what's best for your future and leaving lots of doors wide open. So those fine arts, those languages, even Phys Ed 30, those are programs that you can use to apply for post-secondary. So we always really encourage our students to at least choose one academic option, we call it. And that again is just any of those courses that you can use for post-secondary entrance. And if you want to talk more about that, that's definitely something that we can speak to you as counselors. We would then look at reviewing your timetable. Once that will be made available to you, we again just want you to remain as diligent as possible in your studies while you're in grade 9 so that you are eligible for all the courses that you want for your program. And then be active in school and ask lots of questions if you have any for us. And just before we get to these last 2 slides, we want to let you know that the Q&A session will start in a moment in the chat bar. So you can start entering your questions now. Okay, so just this last part, we just wanted as Student Services to let you know that we do have a spot on the St. Peter the Apostle website. So either in the drop-down menu under Quick Links, as well as under the button for students, you can go ahead and click those areas, which will send you to the Student Services website. And this is something that we regularly add to and update as a team to support our students. So you can see on the side that we have a program called My Blueprints. This is something that we regularly talk to our grade 9s and 10s about. It's a program that the district has purchased for our students to help them plan their high school as well as possible careers and post-secondary in their future. We have My Pass there. This is where our students can access all their information as Alberta students. Eventually they'll look there for diplomas, for ordering transcripts, getting diploma marks and lots of other information. They have Apply Alberta again, which is where our students are going to go when they are ready to apply for post-secondary. We have a scholarship link, which has the main scholarship resources available. And then we also have our tutoring services there. So really important, we have both student tutors who will meet here at the school and online with our younger students, as well as professional tutors for those higher level areas of academics. And then we will also be adding different programs that are being offered to our students as well.
All right, so as we are waiting for any questions that you may have, just remember that you can put those in the chat bar and Mr. McKenna will moderate those for you. I'm going to bet $1, if I was going to bet $1, that there might be a question about whether or not St. Peter the Apostle will do the quarter system next year. And the answer to that is we don't know. Of course, the reason why we are in the quarter system is to cohort students so that contact between them is reduced. And in the event that if you had to already, or in the event that you would have to be have a class that's quarantined, it would reduce the amount of coursework that a student would have to focus on. So that was kind of our strategy for cohorting this year. And it's just too early for us to make that decision whether or not we are going to continue with that for next school year. My hope is that we are able to make that decision close to the beginning of Q4. And I promise, as soon as we make a decision on that, we will be communicating that out to our families. So that I know is on top of a lot of people their brains right now, but please know that we're looking for feedback. We're going to be asking for some from our parents and from our students that if we do need to continue in a quarter system, how can we make it better? And we already know. We've been having some really good conversations with teachers and some students actually around how can we improve it for everyone. So that might be a question that comes up in the chat bar. And we're still waiting. There are no questions coming up because Mrs. Plaisir and Mrs. Johnson did an excellent job on explaining the streams and everything that our school has to offer. I'll just keep on rolling, talking about a few things. Oh, we do have a question. We don't.
Just a reminder, if we do have questions, you can put in the Q&A in the chat bar. I can start to see some are starting to roll in there, but you can open up that chat bar on the side there and ask any questions. We do have one now. Do students get to arrange their own timetable in grades 10, 11, or 12?
Okay, I can answer that question. So the short answer is no. They do not get to arrange their own timetables. So we will get students shortly to complete their pick sheets. We'll get them to put them into the computer for us. At that time, we go through the process of building a timetable. It's really important that you understand the counselors go through every single timetable to try and create the best possible scenario for all of our students, which we talk about balance. We talk about making sure the class sizes are as small as possible, that you get a balance of core and options, that everybody has everything they need in each of those grades. So no, you don't get to select your timetable. However, you do get to select what's in your timetable other than kind of those core courses. We do allow for you to come in for timetable changes in the instance where potentially a mark changed, you no longer require that course, it's not something you selected. So there are areas where you can make changes to your timetable, absolutely, just like previous years. However, a lot of work goes into those in April, May, and June to make sure that the best possible scenario for all of our students. So, yeah.
Can I add something to that, Mrs.
Yes,
Plaisir?
yeah.
As far as the course selection sheets go, please take time. Please consider what is best for you and what courses you want to take. As Mrs. Plaisir said, we take those course selections and build the timetable around it. So we build it for what's on the sheet. There's limited room or limited flexibility to change after that fact. So we're really expecting students to make a commitment to the course selection that they submit to the office. Mm-hmm. And for our kids here, we're asking that be submitted to the office next Wednesday, St. Patrick's Day on the 17th.
Mr. McKenna has another question for us.
Can you take Math 30-1 and Math 31 together?
I can take that, yeah. So you will take them at the same time. We have heard you can take them as a co-requisite. However, we have heard over the years that it is really, really difficult to take two math classes at the same time. So our suggestion, usually Math 31 is at the second half of the year. So we would program those students who need both those courses to take Math 30-1 in the beginning of the school year and then Math 31 in the second half of the year.
What is the creative writing course about, and does it continue into grades 11 and 12?
So right now we are hoping we get enough interest to offer a creative writing course, Creative Writing 15. So this course is pretty much what it says, it's creative writing. So it's a writing course where students will explore lots of different forms and genres of writing, but have a lot more freedom to do that kind of thing than you would have in a traditional English class. So if you are someone who loves reading, or sorry, that would be writing and creative writing. If you're someone who loves writing, it might be something you consider. We're going to look and see what the interest is. If we have enough students who select the course and are interested, we can run it. But if we don't have enough, unfortunately, we won't be able to. So right now we're just kind of dipping our toe in, seeing what the interest is for a course like that to see if we'll be able to offer it next year.
Is the retreat in grade 12 a graduation requirement?
I can take it. Yeah.
Okay.
So the retreat is not a graduation requirement. Often we program students to have a Religion 35 for 5 credits. And if it is for 5 credits, then it can be used for post-secondary. If it's only for 3 credits, it cannot. Traditionally here at St. Peter's, we create that 5 credit course with 3 credits for the in-class work, 2 credits for the work they do at the retreat. In the last years, because of COVID, challenges with COVID, we've not been able to run retreat. It's never been mandatory, but it is mandatory if you would like those 2 credits. So what we are going to be doing moving forward at this time is that we will still be running retreat virtually, obviously, this year, and students will be required to do some work, reflection on that retreat and the retreat materials that they have access to earn those additional 2 credits.
We weren't able to get to this question in the grade 9, but what is the comic book club all about?
So we have a couple of teachers on staff and teachers and some other staff who are comic book fanatics, and they wanted to share their love of comic books with students. So they have a club that meets periodically through the year. They swap, share, read, enjoy, discuss. I know they've made arrangements for some comic book illustrators and writers to come in and talk about their craft, but it's something that's been a real hit for students and staff who are interested.
For the English honors, are you able to start at any grade level, or can you only start in grade 10?
That's a great question. You can go in English honors at any grade level. So if you start in grade 10 and want to continue, great. What if you missed it in grade 10 and want to start in grade 11? Can you? Yes, you can. Again, looking at that average of 70% or higher, but someone with a keen interest in English. We do recommend, however, or we found that students who have the best success in that 30 level course, that 30 level AP, are the ones who started in grade 11, because the same teacher will teach both levels, and they really start getting into a lot of that advanced work, advanced writing, little more agency that students need in their learning to have good results in the AP. So there's a definite advantage to starting by grade 11 and continuing through grade 12, but it is possible to enter in grade 12 if you hadn't had English honors as well.
We saw some reptiles in the science video. That must be from Mr. Beto's room. Are they part of a specific program?
I don't believe they're part of a specific program. They're just part of what we have in general science in the school. Yeah.
With the quarter system, I'm a bit worried about the length of time between this year and the next year progression of the course in grade 10. Will there be consideration of that with perhaps a longer review period as we head into the next year?
That's a very good question again. With our quarterly system, we can look if students are worried about that. What if I had math in Q1 this current year and then I don't get it until Q4 next year? If that's a concern you have, we hope that you would come and speak with us so that we can look at adjusting things as best we can to support the students' learning.
Can you take COM in the summer or summer school?
Yes, we have many grade 9 students or other students who do take COM in the summer. That's available most easily for our students through St. Teresa's outreach. Typically, for students who are going grade 9 to 10, usually summer school registration for everybody opens May 1st, most years. I would assume that it would be that date or a similar date this year.
When are the virtual fairs for post-secondary institutions usually planned?
Kayla, do you want to talk about that?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have something called ELA every year that ourselves, St. Peter's, the Comp, and Memorial plan every year. So each year, one of us is responsible for planning it and hosting it. It's usually at the Tri-Leisure Center, or has traditionally, I should say, been at the Tri-Leisure Center. And with ELA, it's the majority of the post-secondary institutions in the province have representatives there that you can meet with and talk to. This year, they ran it virtually, and it actually was pretty slick. So you could go onto the website. We enrolled our students for a certain time period, a date and time. They were able to log on. They could click each institution. They had a suitcase that they could put their resources and materials into, and they got to directly link up with a representative from each of those institutions as well. So that's the big fair that we put on, and then each post-secondary also hosts traditionally the bigger ones. Grant MacEwan, U of A will have a fall. Concordia, Norquest are traditionally later in the year, December, January.
Mm-hmm. And there are some institutions that are having things in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Norquest, for example, has an open house event and virtual open house this Saturday. NATE also has information sessions. Their reading week, which is typically the week of Family Day weekend in February. And I know Grant MacEwan has some information sessions as well in the spring. So the big hit for them, the big advertisement for them is in the fall, but there is some follow-up as well in the spring.
I'm going to ask the next two questions because they kind of go together. How many options in each quarter or semester? And as a grade 11 student, how many options should you pick for?
I think in grade 11, it gets a little difficult for us to prescribe a set number. Students who carry an academic load in grade 11 might have English, social, science, math, bio, chem, physics. I'm still shamelessly plugging French because that's what I do. And then you have religion. It gets very, very difficult for us to prescribe a set number of elective classes. So that is something that varies from student to student with their programming. So if you have questions about how many electives would be good for your programming, please contact one of the school counselors and they can work through that with you.
Are there any trips that might be available for students to participate in once the pandemic is over?
Well, I mean, in the past, we've had a lot of school trips. We have had people go on ski trips. We've had people travel interprovincially within the province. Right when COVID hit, we had a group that was ready to go to Europe. They were headed to Spain and France. Unfortunately, their trip was canceled. So when that might resume, we have absolutely no idea. We just have no idea. We don't even know if we're doing quarters or semesters next year. So to try and anticipate a date for interprovincial or international travel, we just can't predict that at this time. I know there's certainly staff at the school who enjoy these trips and really see value in providing that opportunity for our students. But again, we just can't predict that right now.
Which grade 10 classes fall under fine arts?
For us fine arts, we have band, choir, dance, art, and drama would be our fine art electives. Do I get them all? Did I get them all? Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And I believe this is going to be our last question here. Can you explain more about the girls only phys ed course?
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, so for our grade 10, it had been requested many, many years ago for some of our females felt more comfortable in an all-female environment where there was a different level of competition expected of them, of types of participation, right? Different opportunities for them to engage in physical activity. So this is something we have run at the school traditionally. And so we run an all-girls option and a combined option for our grade 10s.
All right, so I think that's going to bring to a close the question and answer period that we have. Before we finish off for tonight, I have to say a great big thank you. You can't see what we see up here right now, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of people to make this virtual event happen. So a huge thank you goes to Mr. Valdoon, Mr. McKennett, Mr. Michaud, Mike Landry. Thank you, and you know it's a big deal when Ryan Elsenheimer from district office also comes to check things out. So we also appreciate the support that he's given me or us here tonight. And I do want to shout out to my incredible staff, Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Plaisir, and over here, Mr. Ash, who helped out with the grade 9 virtual open house earlier. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope that you've had a good time tonight and you've learned a thing or two, maybe asking some more questions. If you are a family that is not currently attending St. Peter the Apostle and you're looking for more information, head to our website, check out the registration tab. Everything that you need to know will be there. Thank you so much for joining us and have a great night.